Hello, good morning. And well, speaking of cricket, there are a few matches that you remember. There are a few matches that you don't remember. And there are very few that you have to remember. So we have convened here to talk about one that you'll have to remember for the years and years to come that we saw concluded this day last year, a series that we saw concluded this day last year. And boy, I have the full house with me to talk about it today. Abhishek Mukherjee and Suvajit Mustafi joining from the Cricket News team. Hello, gents. How are you? And well, here we are a year later and still trying to figure out. There's a documentary made on this
Yep.
match, there's a documentary made on this series, and we're still trying to figure out how in the world did that happen?
I really don't know. I mean,
First
I
of
was
all,
just,
good apparel choice for this
of
particular
course,
video.
of course.
That's good one.
It all
See,
started with that.
I on the first morning, I woke up a bit late. I was sure that about two things. India will go in with four bowlers and Kuldeep will play. I woke up to see the Indian bowling attack. Siraj, Natarajan, Shardul, Saini, Sundar. That was
Yeah.
what I woke up to. So essentially, Siraj, who debuted in that series, Saini, who debuted in that series, Natarajan, who went there as a net bowler, Sundar, probably a net bowler, but generally perceived as a limited over specialist, and
Yeah.
Shardul, who had played one test ages ago. That was the bowling attack.
Yep.
And that bowling attack, forget the chase, forget everything, forget that Shardul and Sundar partnership, forget everything. That bowling attack took 20 wickets. And this time, they can't even play the no Smith, no Warner card. It was a full team.
And they hadn't picked a total of 20 wickets, the bowlers in India before that match. When you combine the wickets of all those bowlers, I think they hadn't picked even 20 wickets in Test cricket before that particular match.
Yeah, whatever wickets were, I think Siraj's.
I think Rohit Sharma had a couple, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Amazing. Well, let's try and start from the beginning. But before that, Suvajit Da, your views. What was that?
And remember, Saini was injured. Saini got
Yep,
injured during the match.
yep,
Let us
yep.
not forget that.
Pretty early on. Pretty early on. Yeah.
And I mean, Washington Sundar, I don't think he had played a first class match in like over 3 years. He hadn't played a first class match. And yeah, and I don't think that the entire attack had 20 wickets before that. But I woke up, early morning on the day one, and the first over, the moment Siraj got Warner out of the last ball, something told me, this match is, we are up for something. I mean, there's some intuition, or something told me that something special is gonna happen, and I didn't miss a single ball of that test.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, also, see, I mean, Australia's second over was bowled by Josh Hazelwood, who demolished India in Adelaide. India's second over was bowled by Natarajan, who went there as a net bowler.
Yeah.
And
I don't know
probably
how.
half the fans did not know about Natarajan, say till before September 2020, before that
Yeah.
creation of I mean, so
Yeah.
and here he's playing a test match.
No,
So
Yep.
understand this. Labuschagne and Smith fell to Sundar and Natarajan in the first innings. I have the scorecard in front of me. In the second innings,
Yeah.
Siraj got both of them, but in the first innings, they fell to Sundar and Natarajan, none of whom was supposed to be playing that test match.
and
Yeah.
Labusha was also dropped off
Yeah.
Saini. And yeah.
Let's start and dig into these things. Of course, we've already been told that Australia were batting first, that won the toss here. And the first innings, they put up 369. They're dismissed on that first day itself. Manas Labuschagne scores a century, 50 from Tim Payne, who, of course, wanted India to play that test match at that venue. There was, of course, a Sydney precursor to that. But then India come in and are able to score 336, not able to take lead in that innings. Rohit Sharma, of course, was looking good in the beginning, but then again, the story of Rohit Sharma before that Australia tour, till that Australia tour, and for some time later, overseas in Test cricket would be a little different than it is right now. And Washington, Sundar and Shardul Thakur were the two key batters for India in that innings. And that partnership blew our minds because at a stage before these two came in, India were what, 186 for six. Rishabh Pant was dismissed. And boy, oh boy, these two took them to 309 for seven, which was, yeah, right about where they were dismissed at 336. Who expected that partnership? I don't think anyone in the Indian dugout expected that sort of a partnership.
Who expected that partnership? Did they expect that partnership? The two of them. And
I mean,
who was the better batter that day? I don't know. I mean, I have seen some of Shardul's drives. I have
yeah,
seen the Washington's loft. That's that famous. What do you call it?
no
Head down
look,
six.
no look, no
No
look
look
six.
six.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no look six. Yeah,
But before that, let see. After India lost at Adelaide, they has a plan that they will not allow the Australians room on the offside. So they basically ensured that Smith and Labuschagne won't get those runs. But
yeah,
at that point, they had the pace attack to do this. Now, by this time, so what happened was Siraj was the only bowler of some pace, and
yeah,
now the other bowlers could not bowl to that plan. See, so they were bowling from over the wicket, slightly, I mean, slightly angular at the batter's body. So now Thakur was a swing bowler. Saini was not very accurate. Natarajan
yeah,
bowled left arm. So essentially, only Siraj stuck to that plan in that test match. But the others bowled their natural. So the India had to abandon their basic line, the line they had bowled at largely. I mean, if you remember, even Ashwin bowled to that line.
yeah, yeah,
He was cramping Smith and Labuschagne for room. But
yeah,
now there was no Ashwin. I mean, they were just having to bowl what they usually do. So, which is why it is even, I mean, despite that, they managed to take 20 wickets. And of
yeah.
course, Siraj played a role.
Did play a role. Uh, in that first innings, first Australia innings, three wickets each for Natarajan, Thakur, and Sundar. Siraj, of course, picked up that Warner wicket early on. But then it's time for the second innings, and India, of course, needed to dismiss Australia a little early here. Not exactly gone according to the plan because the openers hashed up some runs in the beginning, 38 and
Hmm.
48 for Marcus Harris and David Warner. There was a 50 from Steve Smith. Of course, he came back into that series after that slow start. A few important knocks from him in Sydney and at Gabba then. And lower middle order did contribute their bit by 30s and 20s. And the only sort of partnership as far as bowling is concerned for India in that innings was between Mohammad Siraj and Shardul Thakur. Remember them both going together, taking four wickets together,
Hmm.
and then
Hmm.
we thought who's going to take the five ahead, and then the
Yes,
most
yes,
beautiful
yes.
thing happens. The catch at third man from Shardul Thakur off Mohammad Siraj, giving him his fifer, and then the walk from Mohammad Siraj leading his team back to the
Hmm.
pavilion. Jasprit Bumrah, of course, at the
Bumrah.
boundary line. Ravichandran Ashwin at the boundary line as well. Shardul Thakur in the background clapping. I mean, this was the Indian team we fell in love with that summer, that
Yes,
Australian summer.
yes.
Exactly.
Uh, I think that third innings first made everyone believe that it was possible.
Yeah,
I mean, I still thought it was a really bold thing. I say the thing is, the bowling. I keep insisting on fast bowlers being the most crucial. What do you call components of any 11 overseas? I mean,
Yeah,
outside the subcontinent. So, yet again, I mean that was proved. But again, Australia probably wished they did not. mm, I mean, I don't know. Australia would probably have declared anyway. They are an aggressive side that want to win. But
yeah,
yeah, that helped definitely. I mean, it was Siraj's spell in the second innings was definitely one of the best.
yeah, yeah. Not often we see fifers in Australia picked up by someone who's just debuted a couple of test matches back. Suvajit, your views on
No, I
that?
remember how Siraj rose. He was not in the side in the first test, I think, or was he?
Yeah, he wasn't. No, no, he wasn't.
Huh. So
Umesh
second test
Yadav,
he
Mohammad Shami,
huh.
Jasprit Bumrah. Yeah,
So second test he becomes the third bowler.
yep,
Third test he becomes the second bowler. Fourth test he is the senior bowler. He is bowling the first over. So
I mean,
that was how it
innings
happened.
attack. He's the senior most bowler. I mean, Shardul debuted probably 2 years before him, and he
yeah.
just
He bowled just 10 balls in that
10
match, I
balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
guess. Yeah,
So I mean, I don't know. I mean, you talk about stories, fairy tales, and this was it. But even in the first test that Siraj played at Melbourne, you could see every time he ran into ball. He ran into bowl. I think he did not bowl in the first session. In fact, Ashwin bowled in the first 10 overs in Melbourne, and but the moment you saw Siraj bowling, and I think he picked up Labuschagne at leg slip somewhere. I mean, he tried to
yeah,
flick and he got caught. But you could always sense that whenever he was bowling, something would happen. Usually, you feel that when Bumrah or Shami is bowling, and
Yes.
somebody
Yes.
who is just uh,
yeah,
he playing his third Test match, and he gave you that sort of confidence. Again, going back to that first over of the match when he was bowling to David Warner, there was so much of
yeah,
energy, and you could see that Warner not being very comfortable. And uh, so I think the body language said a lot of things. And even like when you were mentioning about the Shardul and Washington Sundar partnership, to be very honest, I think rightly Abhishek what he said, that even were they expecting the partnership. But you know, having followed Washington Sundar in domestic cricket, and even Shardul, rising the ranks in Mumbai, Giles Shield and Harry Shield. So I have followed him. I have also watched some of his innings, and it always made me wonder that why is this guy not an all-rounder at Ranji level? And that is something it always baffled me. And why is Shardul batting at number 10? In one of the matches, I think back in the early 2010s, I think when Zahir was also playing, if I remember correctly, he was batting below Zahir Khan, and I felt that what he has done in school cricket. uh, I remember him hitting six sixes in an over
Yes.
in Giles Shield matches. And that was even before Gibbs did that in international cricket, and that was a big deal in
yeah,
Mumbai
definitely.
cricket. So, I mean, to do the same, I mean, to replicate his, school level batting abilities at the international level, at the toughest of, all stages. I mean, it was incredible. So, but somehow I did hope that, we get to see that Shardul, and, what we saw was like, probably once in a lifetime knock.
Yeah. He did play some of the crucial knocks for Chennai as well in IPL. I mean, we saw MS also trusting him at times, promoting him up the order, sending him to hit those shots. And boy, this was really the start of some test career. Now we know what followed after that, as far as batting is concerned. But yeah, let's also talk about Mohammad Siraj. I read a very beautiful post from you on Siraj. I think you wrote on Facebook at that during that particular test match. There was a lot going through his mind on that tour. I mean, it's We can't even fathom the sort of pressure, the sort of emotions that he was dealing with at that particular time. And to then go on and pick 13 wickets in that test series in three matches, I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah, it talks a lot about his mental strength, and you come across in a lot of cricketers. You have your biases that okay, I've seen him in school cricket, I've seen him in domestic cricket, but Siraj was something. I mean, if you remember, even in the IPL, except for the KKR match where he got the three wickets, usually uh, how you see on social media, fans sort of troll him because Uh, he has this habit of leaking runs, and a lot of people even questioned. I mean, people were not following Ranji Trophy enough. A lot of people questioned, why Siraj in
Yeah,
the first place. Why does Siraj why Siraj has to be in the side? And even like when Siraj was selected, if you remember back then, Saini was seen as a better Test prospect than Siraj. And why
yeah,
didn't Saini make his debut in? Uh, but again, tells a lot about Virat Kohli, and I see a lot of Virat Kohli in Mohammad Siraj. And
yeah,
the in terms of mental strength, I mean, what Siraj did in his first two, the kind of odds that he overcome, and also we need to remember that they were under a very strict bio bubble. Uh,
yeah,
that was they were in the bio bubble since I think August when the
Mm.
yeah,
IPL. And it was not at all easy because I remember covering a cricket tournament in the month of March, and I've always enjoyed living in these fancy hotels and going and covering cricket matches. But I was I was in a bubble where I had to you know not leave my hotel room for the first 3 days, and it was unbelievably tough. I mean, I just wanted to go out. That yellow light in your hotel room beyond a point of time, it was just driving me crazy. So I
yeah,
mean, do that for months, and then losing a parent, the kind of pressure, playing in Australia, then whatever the racism incident, happening, and to
yeah.
come out victorious. I mean, I think that day, I mean, after that tour, India really found a hero.
They did. They did. And I even remember you've talked about IPL fans talking about these players and their prospects. I remember there was a point when Siraj bowled that brilliant spell against KKR, I guess, 3 for 9. And there were a couple of people who said at that point that on social that I just pray that Virat Kohli doesn't give Mohammad Siraj that test cap because of this spell that he has pulled. And I was just thinking, as soon as he took that fifer, where will those people be and how can I find them right now? Because boy, oh boy, he has led the bowling attack here, not just bowled him by himself, he's led the bowling attack in that test match. Abhishek Da, you wanted to speak on something?
I, I think there is a huge section of Indian fans who, what do you say, follow mostly IPL and little else. I mean, in
Yeah,
IPL and India matches. So their perception of Indian cricketers, uncapped Indian cricketers, is largely due to IPL.
yeah,
So that is why you see the likes of Unadkat, Dinda, who are basically outstanding bowlers in domestic cricket, get trolled. Uh,
yeah,
they are actually fantastic bowlers, and we often don't acknowledge that. But I wish we did it more than we should. We typically do.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And uh, I do believe that somehow over the time
L-
IPL has played its course in introducing us to talents. But
let me just add. Okay,
sure, sure.
um, this the IPL match was when 2019.
No, this was 2020 UAE season. I think this was in Abu
2020.
Right,
Dhabi. Yeah,
right, in
yeah,
2020. I just opened a scorecard. This is from August 2018. Okay,
Okay.
India A versus Australia A.
Yeah.
Right. So here, this is a 50 over match, and
Mhm.
Siraj took 4 for 68. So he went for runs, but he took for. Then, about a week later,
Yeah.
he played India A. He played against Australia A for India A. In the first inning, Siraj took 8 for 59. I'll tell you the wickets: Usman Khwaja, Curtis
Yeah.
Patterson, Travis Head, Peter Handskome, Mitchell Marsh, Labuschagne. The 6 of his 8 wickets. In the second innings, Siraj takes 3 for 77. This happens in a defeat. So, yeah, I mean, I think that was what Siraj was capable of. The
Yeah.
batters he demolished in Australia, he had already done that in Bangalore 2 years two
Yeah.
years ago. On a,
Yeah.
I've not seen the pitch, I've not seen the match, but I'm sure that this was a much flatter wicket, the
Yeah.
Bangalore team. So yes, if we were vigilant enough to look, uh, yeah, we would have known what was coming.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a nice backstory there between Mohammad Siraj and the then Indian bowling coach Bharat Arun as well.
Mhm.
The two of them had a good dynamic. Of course, Bharat Arun wanted him to play for India, and uh, did make sure that when he played for India, it all so, sort of the right mindset going into that match, and he did grill a lot in that domestic cricket circuit in the India A matches, one of which you have just mentioned there, and I
It
do believe
really
that
helped that
they
Arun coached Hyderabad,
yeah,
the Hyderabad Ranji Trophy team, not
yeah,
Sunrisers.
yeah. I think it was
And
back in what 2016 when they first met, 2016,
yes, yes,
2015. Yeah,
yes. And I read somewhere, read or heard somewhere that, I mean, Siraj himself told, no, Arun told that Siraj kept calling him after he became India coach. When shall I play? When shall I play for India? Sir,
yeah,
मैं कब खेलूंगा? And Arun tried to convince him every now and then. I don't control these things. I am not a selector.
yeah. But well, when
Before
he
he made
did
his
play, he
debut,
made
before he made his
yeah,
debut, he also had a first-class bowling average of 23, if I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
wrong.
yeah,
He was always good. And remember, he did not get to play. I mean, Hyderabad doesn't prepare fast wickets, right? So
Smaller grounds, flat wickets.
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
He's a phenomenal bowler. And just like Ishant, Shami, and Bumrah, Siraj also impressed in his first year.
yeah,
That is common to all four Indian fast bowlers.
yeah. Incredible. Incredible. Right. Let's jump into the narrative of the game as we've been talking about. Before we go into the fourth innings, before we go into the chase, I do believe we need to talk about what had happened in Sydney on day five. Uh, I remember tweeting an image of Ravindra Jadeja's left thumb and saying that that's the left thumb of hope right now. Because what we had basically was Ravichandran Ashwin and Hanuma Vihari facing a pace attack that wasn't going to back down in terms of bowling on their bodies and giving them those blows, which was necessary to pick those wickets to break that partnership because they knew Ravindra Jadeja wasn't fit. And thereafter, we hadn't seen Jasprit Bumrah bat the way that he does right now. We had seen that the Indian lower order collapses pretty early on, and the match could have been over then and there. But that partnership really, I think, built a narrative for something strong to come later on.
I think
Suvajit,
I
you
think
talked about, yeah,
the narrative began again. This is probably from a Kutti story. Just
yeah,
after Adelaide Test match, Kohli left, but before leaving,
yeah,
Kohli, Rahane, and the entire coaching staff had a meeting, and it was decided that Kohli will be replaced by a bowler. Kohli was replaced
yeah,
by Jadeja.
yeah,
After being bowled out for 36, no other Indian side, I am sure that almost no other side in the world would have replaced a Virat Kohli with an all-rounder.
Yeah.
And mind you, there was KL Rahul in the squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
India backed five bowlers when Kohli went back home. You may say this is Kohli's legacy. You may say this was Rahane's thinking. You may say it was Shastri. But whoever it was, the Indian team management, even after being one down in the series, even after a batting collapse like that, they believed in playing five bowlers. They actually went from four bowlers to five bowlers.
Yeah.
I think it started there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
Jadeja scored a
that
50
comeback.
and Jadeja took 3 wickets in that
Yeah.
match.
Yeah. That Rahane Jadeja partnership, of course,
Yes. Yes.
being the key one in that match for India. And that sort of continued in Sydney. So that wasn't the only moment. You sort of needed
Sydney,
those moments to come.
Sydney
Uh,
before Vihari and Ashwin, Rahane promoted Pant to five.
yeah. Yeah, remember
He
that.
wanted to win. India wanted to win the test match. I mean, remember there was frustration because Vihari and Indian fans were frustrated because Vihari and Ashwin did not go for the win.
Babu Supriyo.
Babu Supriyo's. I mean, they were bowled out for 36 two test matches ago, and now
Yeah.
two injured batters and one person with a dislocated thumb waiting and just the tail to follow.
Yeah.
They had raised the standards so high in the span of what, 2 3 weeks, that Indian fans were frustrated that they did not go for a win. That was the turnaround.
It was that sort of a fairy tale where you're talking about these people who just follow IPL. They come in, they're watching cricket, and they think like, why are they not winning? Because they have these high expectations from a team that got bowled out for 36, came back in Melbourne, and now at Sydney have drawn the game. And the same was the case with Gabba, because I remember day four talks that were there, 324. Okay, this is how India is going to approach their 90 overs. Everyone had their plans charted out for how India should go on day five. Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, both of them, okay, perhaps add 50 odd runs there. Cheteshwar Pujara can add a 50 here and there. Rishabh Pant has been in fine form in fourth innings at Sydney. So, but basically, the script that we saw unravel was so much better than all what we were thinking.
To
Uh,
begin with, to
yeah,
begin with, nobody would have blamed India had they played for a draw.
yep. No one would.
That is something we need to understand first. 328 runs, a third string side, an opener batting at 5 or 6, basically 9, 10. I mean, Siraj is playing and he isn't even batting at 11. That is how bad the batting lineup is. No, who chases 328 against that attack on a fifth day? India went for
Mind
the
you,
chase.
Mohammad Siraj will go on to help Ravichandran Ashwin get his 100 at his hometown later on with his batting, and would later on hit on a six as well in that innings. I think once Ashwin had got his 100 out of the way. Yeah,
On a
so,
pitch that Michael Vaughan said was unsuitable for batting,
yeah,
Siraj hit a
yeah,
six.
And even in the Brisbane Test first innings, if you remember how Siraj was shielding Natarajan from Stark,
yeah,
so he was a senior
yeah.
partner.
Remember Abhishek that telling? I think I heard it from him only that Natarajan didn't have a bat on that tour.
Natarajan
Yeah,
didn't
they
have a
were
gear.
asking.
He didn't
Yeah,
have gear. Why would he? He went for as a net bowler. Why would he carry his gear? So what happened was, just ahead of the test match, it was
yeah,
decided that Natarajan would play, but nobody had seen him bat.
yeah.
So Rathore basically asked him to bat, and he was horrified. So, and nobody had seen him bat. So they asked Riddhiman Saha, who had played with him at Sunrisers. Even Saha hadn't seen him bat. Nobody knew what he batted like. So this man goes out and faces Mitchell Stark. And the first ball he keeps out very well. And after the innings gets, and he scores a run, by the way. After the innings gets over, they asked him, "How did you keep that ball out?" He said, "I couldn't see it."
Reminds me of me, but in school cricket. That's a different course altogether. But yeah, I mean, there was so much inexperience in that side, and yet on day five, if you're thinking that they're going ahead for the win, knowing that of course the low middle order, if the wickets collapse early on, it's going to be very difficult for them to defend their way out of this. But they go for the win, and that early on partnership, Rohit Sharma is of course dismissed pretty early on, but that partnership between Shubman Gill and Cheteshwar Pujara sets that. The way Shubman Gill plays in that innings of 91 sets that whole sort of chase on that day, before even before Rishabh Pant comes in.
Uh, I think India would really have done well if the opening pair in South Africa was Rohit and Gill. I think they play short pitch bowling better than most Indian batters. So yeah, I think that was a miss. I mean, Gill that day played. They kept. I don't know why they kept bowling short at Gill. It was very
Yeah,
evident that he was in absolutely no discomfort.
yeah,
But okay, I'm not complaining that they kept bowling short at him. And I was happy he was
yeah.
pulling them for fun.
Remember a shot over third man, I guess,
Yeah,
of
six.
yeah, yeah.
Hazelwood, I
Who's
think.
the
Vikram
bowler?
Rathod, Vikram Rathod
Yeah,
told in an interview that with Gill, he didn't actually have to say anything. He asked Dr.
okay.
Gill, so he was actually ready. I'll hit that this bowler here, 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 and here. So that reminded me of when Gill made his ODI debut in early 2019. I think Virat Kohli said, "I did. I at this age, Gill at this age, he is 10 times or whatever times of where I was at his age, or something like
Yeah.
that." So that
Yeah, yeah.
compliment came from Kohli.
He
So
said the
you
same
could
thing
see
about
why.
Prithvi Shaw.
Same thing about
Prithvi Shaw as well during the England
yes.
series. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Gill is just too talented. You can see. I mean, taking on Australia in Australia. I mean, not everyone's cup of tea. I mean, that too at that age.
That too in his first series.
First series.
Yeah.
yeah,
Quite a
and
few debuts to remember
Remember
there.
also the making of Rohit Sharma, the opener. He had been opening batting but not getting runs. But before England happened, Rohit actually started getting runs in Australia as opener. I mean, the
Yeah. He
bounce
got
suited
a
his style
half
of batting.
century.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
flew out mid series.
yeah,
After the second test, no, after the first test, and he played the third test.
Yes. And he replaced Pujara as vice captain.
Yeah.
and in the
So
first
many
innings of
things
44,
happened.
he scored that 44 in the first
Yes.
innings. I mean, we keep on
Yeah.
speaking of the attractive 144s being made in Brisbane, but that was like probably the most attractive 40s that you could see, and the way he lost his wicket. I mean, he was criticized, but
Yeah.
you can watch the highlights again and again. I remember one straight drive that he hit off Pat Cummins. It was like a
Yeah.
treat to watch. And
Yeah.
again, I mean, if you were talking about, I think Ravi Shastri recently spoke about, Gill and Pant after I think Gill got out. Uh, Gill and Pant conversing, and Ravi Shastri overheard the conversation, like when they were talking about, when Pant was talking about how he would approach and, you'd go for a win, and it sort of surprised Shastri, and he didn't say anything. He just said, guys, carry on with your discussion. So that was it, like
I think
insane.
the other similar instance happened at Sydney when Vihari and Ashwin were batting. So
Yeah.
Shardul, I think, was it Shardul,
Yeah.
ran out
Yeah.
with instructions, and
Said that I'm not going to say anything. They were speaking too much. Didn't
they were
get
speaking
anything.
too much. I'm not going to tell you anything, any of that. You just carry on.
I mean, the barriers they crossed, and I think it would have been such some moment for Ravi Shastri as well, because remember that 2014-15 Australia tour. where Virat Kohli captains the first time. MS Dhoni is not playing the first match. He's ruled out by thumb injury. He's going to come in for the second match. Virat Kohli is just captain for that one match at that point, and on day five goes out. And before day five, on the eve of that final day, goes out and says to his team, no matter what the target is, we're going for the chase. It was 360 and they went for a chase, lost that match. It would have been some feeling for Ravi
I'll tell you,
Shastri to see that in Rishabh Pant and Shubman Gill's conversation then, that they were going for a win on that final day as well.
2014 Adelaide.
Yeah,
India had a huge target. India still went for it. Riddhiman Saha was criticized because he hit a six, then he went for another slog and he was stumped. He was
yeah,
criticized for playing like that, but he was clearly. But it happened because India were going for a win. When Kohli got out, he was, I think, the seventh to be out. The number nine
yeah,
would have been Ishant. There were not many overs left. India could have played out a draw.
yeah,
Kohli sent Shami at nine.
yeah,
You're still going for a win. 60 runs left, 3 wickets in hand, not many overs left, but Kohli wanted to go for a win in his first test as captain. And after
yeah,
the match, in the press conference, Kohli said something on the lines of, "At no point were we thinking of not going for a win. The template was set there. 4 years later, almost 4 years later in Oval, again India could have gone for a draw. Again, Rahul and Pant went for a win. Rahul and
yeah,
Pant both got out, but India did not abandon the chase. They kept trying. At some point, this had to click because
yeah,
unless you go for a win, you don't win.
definitely. Yeah. And
If you
I
go,
think it was Rahul Dravid who was on that tour, that 2014-15 tour, as a broadcaster. And there's a famous story from the press box where once Kohli got out in that chase, he sort of puts his hand on his head and is disappointed, of course, by that, because the Rahul Dravid school of cricket and the Rahul Dravid generation of Test cricket knew things to be different. At that particular time, even if Virat Kohli and his team would have drawn that match, it would have been a big win. India lost 4-0 the last time they traveled to Australia in a Test
also
series.
remember,
It-
Kohli took another major decision in that test match. He picked Karan
yeah,
Sharma
Karan Sharma,
yeah,
yes.
ahead of
ahead of
Ashwin.
Ashwin. Yeah,
Yes, because he knew that in Australia with a Kookaburra, a wrist spinner is typically more successful. He got
yeah,
banned because Lyon got a lot of wickets. I think 11 wickets or something in the test match. So he got even more criticized, but he single-handedly with bat and then with his going for the win, he changed
yeah,
all that. In that was his first test as captain.
So initially, he was
yeah,
in his initial part of his captaincy. He was always up for a leg spinner. He always believed that leg
Yes.
spinner is a much more attacking option. And the way he also backed Amit Mishra, if you remember, I mean, I'm not even talking about
Mhm.
Test cricket. In 2013, when he led a series in Zimbabwe, Amit Mishra was the man of the series, and he
Yes.
insisted
Yes.
that he
yeah,
played Mishra in all the games, and even that's how he got in Chahal also. Like Chahal was somebody he also
yeah,
played school cricket, I think at various age group cricket also with Chahal, and he then got him for RCB as well. So
yeah.
he was
Regarding
fantastic.
Kuldeep, which brings us to Kuldeep, yeah, I think Kohli would have played Kuldeep a lot more if one of the fast bowlers could bat.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that is the equation problem India have been facing for some time. If Ishant Shami or Bumrah, one of them could bat like Ashwin or Jadeja, I think Kuldeep could have played a lot more in his peak, and not now. Of course, he will find a way back, but yeah.
Yeah. Most definitely. Let's come back to the partnership again. We're going diverging through different timelines and talking about things that happened on day five, because it's important to get that backstory as well regarding these players. And speaking of backstory, one Cheteshwar Pujara outscored Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane the last time India traveled Australia. Was the wicket Australia wanted to pick the most in that 18-19 tour, because it was really the tormentor for them, right?
He
You're
batted
you're
for
bowling in
33
that.
hours.
I think he batted for some
No, 31 hours.
900, 900, 1000 odd balls on
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
18-19 tour. Yeah.
In hours, it comes to around 31 hours or something. That is more than one day in a single.
My
Unbelievable.
God.
And
Those,
remember,
but
all four Australia. There was no weak point in that Australian attack.
no.
It is not that you have an ordinary bowler, so you can see off three bowlers and score or basically get some easy runs off the fourth bowler. There is no weak point. They are lion bowls from one end and the other end. From the other end, three fast bowlers keep switching, and once the new ball happens, so second new ball comes, they are back again, two of them at the same time. So there's no respite.
Yeah.
But the bowlers also had no respite from Pujara.
Didn't get 100 in that tour, but batted for those long hours as he did in Sydney, as he did in Brisbane in that final innings. And
I think
more than batted.
I don't think Hazelwood would have played for any other IPL side.
That was the fun bit from auction 2021 when we were talking about, oh yeah, MS Dhoni is going to have some time, telling Hazelwood, why don't you practice with Pujara here? Practice out your bowling skills. Maybe a bit. But yes, returning back to Test match, not only batted those 200 odd balls, I think it was 205, but took the blows and took some serious blows. I don't remember any other batter getting hit on so many different places in the space of that one Test series alone, in the space of that one Test match alone.
This is what it is. He won't give his wicket away. If it comes down to a choice between fending it from close to your face,
Yeah.
or from your chest, or getting hit, he'll choose getting hit. He won't give his wicket away.
Yeah.
Another batter might have gone for the hook or might have tried to fend it away somehow. He won't.
It was Pujara's, by the way, slowest 50 in Test.
Yeah.
And
And
Pujara's
That's
slowest.
something.
That
inning
is
was
something.
Yeah. Yup. That is really something. There he is,
Pujara's
the
slowest
great
and
man.
probably the most entertaining Pujara knock.
Speaking of entertaining, here we go. We never knew that Test cricket needed a Pant Pujara partnership to excel the way, to peak the way it did in that fourth innings at Sydney and fourth innings at Gabba. What a combination that was to watch the two of them from two different ends. Cheteshwar Pujara, of course, taking those blows,
No,
and
before
the
that,
next over.
before that,
2019.
we must discuss Rahane.
Yeah,
I Rahane was batting at four,
yeah,
and at some point, Rahane had to take a choice when Gill got out. So
yep,
it was either take it slow and wait, but or go for it. And then
which he
he
did.
drives Hazelwood on the rise, and I think the one that broke the shackles was he stepped out against Lion and hit a six.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So that was when we knew that the chase was on, even before Pant arrived. So India not giving up on this, even after got out. And by
yeah.
then, and when Rahane fell, Pant walked out, and then we knew that. Okay,
Here we go.
here we go.
But we'd seen shades of that partnership in Sydney as we talk about Rishabh Pant going for it. They were maybe going for it in Sydney as well. And, had Pant survived for some 10, 15 overs, maybe a different result for us. Who knows? That's a different what if to discuss altogether. But Rishabh Pant's resurgence on that tour, let's talk about it this way. IPL 2020, not part of the Delhi squad on a regular basis. Before that, we're talking about him in India's squad. If you do see that, he was criticized when playing those one-day series against West Indies, I guess, at home, when he was not able to keep well. Crowds chanting MS Dhoni's name at home. And that was really not the sight you would want to see for anyone struggling in cricket. In IPL, not able to find his form, scores a half century in the final, I guess, against Mumbai. He was the one who scored a half century in that IPL
A
final,
very
and then
uncharacteristic.
goes into the Australia.
Mm.
Huh? Sorry.
It was a very uncharacteristic half century.
Yeah, of course it was.
Yeah.
But then going into the Test series, not playing the first Test, coming into Melbourne, I remember him scoring some 30 odd runs in that first innings, and he got some four boundaries or something in that innings. And sort of thought that Rishabh Pant here is trying to, be as calm as possible and take his time, leaving the balls outside the off stump as much as possible. But then that Sydney innings really came out of nowhere for me, because you couldn't expect that sort of an innings coming from someone who's not able to find his position in the team so on a regular basis and is being criticized so often. I couldn't. Did you guys see any of that sort of an innings coming from his bat in
Yes.
that
Yes.
series?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Yes. Yes. I
Definitely.
have been backing Rishabh Pant since its under 19 World Cup 2016. I've been backing Rishabh Pant since I've been following Ranji Trophy, his fastest
Triple
100
hundred.
in Ranji Trophy history, his triple
Triple
hundred,
century.
everything, and
Yeah,
he gets these. I mean, not against this attack, but he has been doing this. He comes out to on his Test debut, hits the second ball, he faces for six.
yeah,
Three Test matches later at Adelaide, at the Oval, as we mentioned, he goes for the chase, and then later
yeah,
that, and in a few months' time, he goes. His last tour of Australia, 2018-19, he bats 7 times, crosses 25 every time.
yeah.
He gets a big 100 in Sydney. So the Australian pitches suit him. And Pant, I think I can't say my Hindi is terrible. Otherwise, I would have said that "Khubiyan to hai, khamiyan to hai." Like,
I'll say it for you. खूबियां में मुझ में, खाबियां में मुझ में, देखने वाले तू देख, चाहिए क्या मुझ में. But yeah, we can't speak it the way Mr. Vivek Razdan did, of course. But yeah, there were a lot of people backing him at different times. As you do, even I saw him batting in that under-19 World Cup back in 2016. But the thing is, when someone so young goes through so much, and then again comes his story, the struggles that he has faced. I think it was 11 when his mother would take him from Roorkee to Delhi to
hmm.
play on weekends, and she would of course work at the Gurudwara, and he would play cricket. And this sort of went on for weeks and weeks, and
and then
his story of struggle. Yeah,
his coach was not sure whether the Delhi politics would let him survive, because
yep,
he was so he tried to make a move to he tried to get Pant to play for Rajasthan, but that did
yeah,
not work out. So Pant had to return to Delhi to play, and
yeah,
but the talent was so obvious. I mean, you can see his talent. He plays shots nobody else can. I'm not even saying how cleanly he hits. It's not only about talent. It's knowing that he can. There's a steep chase. There's a fielder at long on, and he knows he can clear long on against the turn.
yeah. I think he hit what those 4, 5, 6s at Sydney, and after the first three, Australia had placed long on and long off at the boundary, but he was clearing the boundaries even then. He had no worries
He just
whatsoever if the
assumes the
fielder was
fielders
there.
are not there.
Yeah, I think
He
he said in
believes.
an interview after that tour, "अगर ball slot में आता है तो बाहर जाना जरूरी है." At
Huh? If
that
you're going for
point,
a six, why would he? Why would fielders matter?
it's not as simple, by the way. Those are speaking, we're just speaking it as it is, but it's not that simple. He makes it look that simple. That's the thing about Rishabh Pant and his hitting. And in that innings, remember when Nathan Lyon beat him, and of course Tim Payne isn't able to collect that ball.
Let us not
Pant
forget that he was
survives.
playing with an injured hand. He couldn't keep wickets in the third innings,
Oh yeah,
and he at the drinks break during the chase, he couldn't open a water bottle. Someone else had to do it for him.
Yeah,
So that was the pain he played that innings through. If he could do that with play that innings with pain, he was fit in Brisbane. Of course, he was
yeah.
pulling off that chase.
With pain and pain behind him. So much pain
Yeah,
on the pitch, pain on the non-strikers' end. As I remember when Cheteshwar Pujara scored his half century, Rishabh Pant didn't know how to hug him because he had been bruised all over his body. There was a really awkward hug coming in there. Okay, let's take a hug here. Okay, you continue from the other end, I'll continue from here. But yeah, but Indians were taking the blows in the fourth innings as well as they were from pretty much the Sydney test. But then Pant misses that ball from Lyon, and the very next ball steps out and does what he's not able to do on the previous occasion. I mean, that's just insane level of T20 cricket mixed into red ball format or something.
uh, I've seen only one Indian batter who two Indian batters who did such outrageous things. Kapil Dev and Virendra Sehwag, and this is
Yeah.
the third one.
Yep.
With with
And
with,
yeah, yeah,
with Pant, whenever he's batting at the crease, people talk a lot about his technique and everything, but he never looks at any sort of discomfort. He's middling every ball. He's playing his defense. You won't see a lot of plays and misses as much you'd see, a top order batter struggle. Even in the last innings at Cape Town, the century that he
yeah,
scored, like he was batting like it was like just a net.
He was batting on another pitch.
And that has happened with every Pant innings. If you see that whenever he bats, he is completely at comfort, and all those 25 plus runs that he scored in 28 18 19 Australia tour. And again, we spoke about the Pujara and Pant partnership. I think Pujara is somebody Pant enjoys batting with, and they have actually over the past few tests. If you remember, starting with Sydney to 2019,
yeah,
when both of them scored the hundred, then even in
yeah,
England, the Chennai test, again both of them when he took on Jack Leach. Again, he
yeah.
had a big partnership with Pujara, and he's somebody very, very contrasting styles of play. But and that is one of the reasons I think Pant should bat at up the order, maybe at number
Closer to
five,
Pujara, yes, yes.
closer to
Pant is.
Pujara.
I think Pant should bat at number 5. I mean,
Yeah, and again, like being a huge Pant fan since 2016, and having watched him play those knocks in in Ranji Trophy as well, and also some of his batchmates from the Tarak Sinha coaching academy, they said that even when he was 15 years old, he would take on guys like Ashish Nehra in the nets, and
Yeah.
sometimes even clear the grounds. So
now
it's
understand this. I mean, last week Marco Jansen bowling. He's 6'8" on a bouncy pitch, and this man tries to reverse sweep him or
Yeah.
reverse scoop him or whatever that shot is. He falls flat on his back. He stands up straight with a smile.
Yeah. Remember Jimmy Anderson enthusiast saying, "What the
Yeah,
hell? How do you even do that to someone like him?" And at a very important phase in that series as well, by the way, in that England series, when he was just taking on Anderson with the new ball, didn't matter to him if it was the new ball, the old ball. It just needed to be hit. That was the Rishabh Pant that we sort of saw emerge in that Australia series, and also started that trend of Rishabh Pant having just beautiful strike rate against ball spinners. Nathan Lyon, I think, was the first one to establish that on international level, and Jack Leach would then face the repercussions in the upcoming tour. But
then Moeen
let's
Ali
talk about
squeezed
the,
second,
oh
and then Roston
yeah.
Chase.
But let's come back to the match. Yeah, let's come back to the match a little bit here. Cheteshwar Pujara, of course, is scoring that half century, and once he's dismissed, Mayank Agarwal comes in, uh, scores 9 of 15, is looking to clear the boundary even when he's dismissed. But then when that wicket falls, you sort of feel like, okay, here we go. Is there a change in strategy somehow? Because I know Washington Sundar and Shardul Thakur have played beautifully in that first innings, but can it happen again? Can something here happen again? Washington Sundar remember, and you cannot forget that six that he hits of Pat Cummins. No one can forget that six that he hits. I mean, was he even
49 runs to
trying to?
score from 44 balls. You have Shardul playing. I mean, he has since scored that 50. I mean, he has scored a 50 in the first innings, but seriously, he's playing his second test match. Shardul Thakur,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
you have Saini Siraj Natarajan left. 49 needed from 44.
yeah,
Um, I'm telling you this. Bradman's Australians would have gone for the chase, but not after 6 wickets down. Lloyd's or Richards' West Indians, not after 6 wickets fell. Not even Steve Waugh's Australians. They would have gone back their top order, but not this. Not their, not lower middle order. And with three
yeah.
rank tailenders coming up.
But
No other side.
With Gilchrist in the crease, probably they could,
Yeah.
if Gilchrist was still playing.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, who does this?
But that's the thing, right? You're talking about Gilchrist. Even we thought that, why go for the shots yourself? Give the strike to Pant. He's there. He's already hitting the Aussie bowlers, and he's there for some time now. Knows how the pitch is reacting. But no,
But then
I'm
the
going to do
other
it
way of
myself.
looking at it was Punt stays till the end. The batters at the other end take the risks.
Yeah,
That was
perhaps.
probably the approach.
Yeah.
They have
Yep.
played under 19 cricket together. So
Hmm.
Oh yeah, we're in the same. I think
same batch.
16 batch. Yeah, of Rahul Dravid under 19 team as well, and again two different characters in the team. And once Sundar hits that six, I think it's pretty clear that this is going to have the epic ending, which we thought, but it's going to go have a little bit of stops in the way, as well as Sundar is dismissed of Nathan Lyon, bowled by Nathan Lyon. Shardul Thakur comes in, and he also is going for some sort of a victory shot right there, but then is dismissed of his third delivery, I guess. And Navdeep Saini, and by this time we know that, okay, right now it's just too much experimentation. Just give Rishabh Pant the strike and goddamn finish it here. And before he goes for that finishing shot at long off, what were the emotions running through your veins? Because I remember, I'll tell you a short story from my end here. I've never seen my father come home early the way he did that day before lunch. I think he came about an hour early, and he was just standing. He wasn't even sitting and watching that match. And I knew that my father had watched cricket in Australia in those 80s and 90s, where a draw would have been enough, as we were talking about. Draw just would have been enough. And right then, when Shardul is dismissed, I remember him saying that, why would you do that? Why would you do that at this stage? Because I knew that they had obviously seen tougher times for an Indian team touring Australia. We had only seen an Indian team beating Australia the last time in 2018-19. And so this was going to be something really special for him, something really special for all of us probably, because India winning in Australia in 18-19, there were a lot of talks of Australia not being the same strong side as they were. There were no excuses to be made in 2021, in 2021, yeah.
I didn't speak for hours, I think. I was still thinking, and I cried a lot, that I remember. A lot. I mean, it
Yeah.
took some time to process what I witnessed.
I was
It
actually
wasn't
very
even once in a generation. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Suvajit.
I was very angry when Shardul got out because all those memories of Chennai in 1999, and as Indian
Uh,
fans, whatever we have witnessed over the years, I knew that uh, being an Indian cricket fan, you know that even in West Indies 2002, the moment Zahir Khan gets out, he's not even he's still on his way to the dressing room, and it starts raining, and it rains for a week. So so all those memories started. I said, no, 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 not again.
yeah.
Rishabh Pant should get the strike, and I was like all sort of it was an emotional cocktail. But after that, when he hit that straight drive, I was not sure that it's going for boundary. So I just
The
waited.
commentators didn't pick it up. You remember? The
Yeah.
commentators took some time to realize what was happening.
Yeah,
The
I
On the
was.
other hand, the Hindi commentators picked up.
So
And that's when we got the epic line, probably
Yes.
Abhishek Mukherjee's favorite
No, no.
cricket line ever,
Yeah, that is
by
my
a long
favorite
margin.
cricket line, but I can't do it. My Hindi pronunciation just won't do it.
It's as simple as just relishing that moment for what it is. And I think even Siraj at the boundary line, it was so cute that all of them knew that it was a boundary. They were just jumping on the boundary line, waited for the ball to touch the ropes, and then ran. It was proper gentleman welcome for the victory. uh, but yeah, that I mean, I remember fist bumping my father. We haven't done that before that. We haven't done that after that. I don't think we'll ever do that again. But that was something else. I think we had a stock in that emotion as much as those batters did because of, as Suvajit was speaking of, all that we have seen as fans over the time period.
I recorded myself the
Yeah.
entire last session. I knew something was on, and as Pant was planning the chase, even I was also planning, and luckily, it all fell in line, and uh, so so I knew that something special was on. So this moment, the entire thing needs a recording of my reactions, and I did that, and I mean, again, I mean, I have no words to express what I felt after India pulled it off, and yeah, so I partied that night. I said,
It felt like we needed to party for a month later. I was even thinking, why are we keeping England to so close? Let's just give these guys a break for some more time. They've earned it. They've earned all the break that they want after that sort of a victory. Abhishek Da, that's how this T-shirt of yours was made even
Yeah, yeah,
more epic.
sure, of course. No, see, it didn't matter whether they had a break. I At that point I thought they could field pick any 11 cricketers from India and still win a series against England.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
that's the invincible feeling you live for as a fan, right? That was when we got it as Indian fans.
Basically, you could play two teams and beat Australia and England simultaneously.
Yeah, we reached those heights of thoughts as well during those winning moments. Yep, post match, Indian players celebrating, and a lot of them. And I remember Rishabh Pant's speech in particular as he gets his Player of the Match award. It says that it's probably the most important moment in his life. And you think of all that these players have been through on their particular levels, and that's just the image that you want to keep looking here every now and then. Of course, Karthik Tyagi in between as well. I thought he might as well get a cap on if the players keep getting injured the way they were in that series. He might even make his debut at some stage, but it didn't happen. And India, of course, made history. And it was a win that not just people in India, but even outside were talking about with such fervor because all of them wanted to see a test series like this. We've heard so much about Ashes 2005. I didn't watch that series live in particular, but we have so much about it over the course of time. I don't think we'll hear about something like this for so long to come. It cannot just happen another time any soon.
We were privileged to watch it live. Let's put it like this. We are not going to see anything like this again. Nobody will.
Yeah. Yep. Well, gents, we have successfully crossed the hour mark talking about it. And as Mr. Abhishek Mukherjee said to me yesterday, they played for a whole goddamn day and got their victory. Why are we not speaking for the whole goddamn day? Let me just put it this way, we can't. So I'm going to try and wrap it up here. A win which we will remember, a test match win which we will remember for ages and ages to come, and which we will be privileged enough to tell to the coming generations. Oh, we witnessed it live, and we were lucky to do so, as Abhishek says here. Gents, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been so fun talking cricket and refreshing those memories with you today. Thank you so much for joining us. And for all our audience, well, if you would want to watch a whole lot more of this content, as Suvajit was talking about his video, his celebration of that moment, we have that restored on our YouTube page, his Memories 2021, where he shares about that win in particular. If you would want to watch more of the South Africa India series that we are covering. Do go and hit the subscribe button on our page and watch that. Thank you so much for joining us today and for everything about cricket. Stay tuned to Cricket News.